So Terremark has a long history in terms of how we got to where we are, which is actually we were just recently acquired by Verizon. So the lead up to Terremark to get us there is a pretty interesting story. Terremark actually started as a real estate company building major infrastructure projects around the United States and around the world, large-scale, complicated construction projects. About 10 years ago, our CEO realized that the world was moving towards a digital infrastructure and life was becoming more around moving bits around as it was to moving blocks of concrete around. But he still knew his heritage was in construction, so he switched his business into building large-scale internet projects. So large data centers, phone central offices, things like that. And then in late 2000, early 2000, he actually divested his entire real estate business and went wholeheartedly into the internet business and started what is now known as the Nap of the Americas in Miami. It's the largest data center on the eastern seaboard of the United States, one of the largest in the world, and it is a major peering exchange for all the internet providers in the world. So all the major phone companies all over the world come together in buildings like ours in Miami, and they exchange their traffic and they communicate. And that's really, when people say, what is the internet? That is what the internet is. It lives in buildings like the Nap all over the world. Fast forward from that point over the last 10 years, which have been the most exciting in Terremark's history, Manny, our CEO, built on, and Terremark built on that infrastructure of having this peering fabric where all the connectivity in the world was coming together, and realized that the next step forward was going to be extending that connectivity into the next layer of computing, the actual computing that was feeding the connectivity. And then we launched, so that led us into running greater services around providing internet infrastructure, hosting major websites and whatnot. And that really culminated about 3 or 4 years ago in the development of what we call cloud computing. At the time, we weren't marketing savvy enough to even call it cloud computing, but that's exactly what it was. And it was really taking that next step of virtualizing what people had been buying many years in terms of very discrete physical hardware servers and things like that, making them virtual. And the easiest way to explain it is taking the world from a place where in order to put something online and share it with 1 million people, you had to go out and buy servers and all that things, to taking it to a point where you can come to Terremark, click a button, and be up and running. And really, for that last 3 to 4 years of our existence has transformed our entire business. Terremark has gone from being anything else to a cloud company. All of our major companies there were really ahead of our time. And frankly, I think that was, I know, that is actually what drove our acquisition by Verizon, is kind of they want to take that technology now and take it to the next step with their global reach and scale. It's a real exciting time for us at Terremark, as you would imagine. As a smaller company, even though we were publicly traded, we were a smaller company, so $1 million investments for us were a lot of money. And now we have the privilege of working with a company that's very comfortable investing hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to build out infrastructure there. They're used to that mindset. So we're very excited about being part of that infrastructure, because I think where cloud is going is it's really, right now people still, when I say people, IT companies still have a decision to make when they deploy a new application or a new tool. It's, am I going to do legacy or am I going to do cloud? Fast forward really as soon as 3 years out, that decision is not going to be a decision anymore. It's going to be cloud for everything new. And 5 years out, the legacy applications will really start to cease to exist. So I think cloud is going to transform the way that businesses deliver IT, which in turn is going to trickle down to the way consumers actually consume IT. So everyone already does it a little bit today. Everybody has a smartphone. Odds are when you log onto an application on your smartphone, you're using the cloud. So people who upload their photos, do things like that, are using their cloud. Extrapolate that out to really everything that's done in the IT world, and that's where cloud is going to be. The best way, I've used this example before, is if you were an application developer 4 years ago or 5 years ago and you came up with the next best application. Facebook's a great example. Everyone's seen the movie. You had to go buy servers, and you had to install those servers, and you had to massive investment in infrastructure and servers and time and energy and capital. That same idea, if someone had it today, could literally be up and running for as little as 3 cents an hour by swiping their credit card on our cloud and be running overnight. So if you now have an application, the physical constraints of the world in terms of copper and fiber and concrete, physically building those buildings, no longer constrain you. And I think that's going to transform the way people consume technology. So when you discuss cloud, you really have to, it's an interesting paradigm in that there are customers and then there are users. So customers are the folks who actually come to a Terremark or Verizon in the world and consume cloud in order to provide something to a user of cloud. And I think that's why a lot of the mainstream media gets cloud confused, because no one really knows what it is, because it's bought by one person, used by another. It's a complicated technology. So I think in terms of use, what you're going to see is worldwide adoption. It actually, just like it frees you from having to build the concrete, it frees you from having to care where it is. You can put it, I hate to use the expression, but in the cloud, and suddenly your user could be in Turkey, could be in China, could be in Iowa, and it doesn't matter where they're up and running. So I think that is going to be transformational for consumers. For businesses, the global growth opportunity is phenomenal, because similar to what happened in the wireline cell phone business, where you had developing countries who never had the type of phone infrastructure that the first world countries had in terms of landlines, have now got cell infrastructures that are vastly superior than some of the established companies, because they leapfrogged that step of the evolution and they jumped right into wireless technology. I think you're going to see the same thing on cloud. A lot of countries that don't have data centers, that never made that infrastructure but have the raw talent to develop applications, they're going to leapfrog. They're not going to have that weight of millions of data centers pulling them behind in terms of going. I think Fortune this month had an article where they said there's 7.1 million data centers in the world. The developing countries don't have to worry about what they're going to do with that capital that's in there already. They can just get on the cloud. Smart programmers, they're just going to move forward. So I think worldwide growth is a huge opportunity.